Hey guys, it's me again, Lauren. I am here today to talk to you about interview for Distinguished Young Women and basically the scariest category that you're judged on. So, who's ready to get started? We are going to talk about 4 items today. I'm going to talk to you about the content the interview has, what to wear in your interview, body language in your interview, and the criteria that you're judged on, and kind of the logistics of the interview, how it works. So, like I said, a lot of people get worked up about the interview, but I promise you, with lots of practice, actually doing mock interviews and discovering what you want to say in the interview, you'll be just fine. It's actually kind of fun because it's like having a conversation with 5 people who want to know all about you and what you think about the world, which is really cool. So, starting with content. So the first thing I like to do for an interview is to come up with 3 to 5 points that I really want to come across while I'm interviewing for whatever it may be, a job, a scholarship, whatever the case is. I like to have 3 to 5 points that I can just be like, okay, I know I need to work that in so the judges remember me because it's a unique thing about me. So, for example, let's say I get asked about my ballet experience. I would want them to know that I also, because of ballet, I love it so much, but I've also had body image issues from it, and I've come from that, and I'm super resilient because of that, and that would be one of my points I would want to make. So whatever my question would be, I'd want to put in 3 to 5 unique aspects about myself. I think for my Distinguished Young Woman ones, I wanted to make a point that I had come back from having body image issues with ballet. I think it was like, I also am a farm girl. I grew up on a farm, so I have the best of both worlds, and I'm super diverse with what I like to do, so I can connect to a lot of people. I think another one was I am really hardworking, and I don't put academics over ballet or ballet over academics. Like, I schedule my time out really well. So just little unique things like that that you can know that you have a concept of that you can work into any question that they ask you, basically. So that's my number 1 tip for content. Now I'm going to let you know what the judges are going to kind of ask you about, except for I want to point out that these 3 categories aren't the only things they can ask you about. They can be random curveball questions too. So don't worry though, the judges are super nice. Anyways, they can ask you about your bio. So you'll submit an online bio. I'm sure you've already kind of seen that by now. You really, really, really need to go over your bio because that's mainly what the judges are going to be looking at and to see who you are, what you're like. You want to put all your accomplishments, honors, awards, activities, community service. Make sure you add it all in there because not only will they see it on your bio and be impressed because you girls are amazing, they will also ask you about it, which is great because the more they ask, the more they know, and the more they get to know you, the better they like you. So, they will ask you about your bio, know that. Next, they'll ask you about current events and what's going on in the world. This freaks a lot of girls out because they're like, oh, politics, I don't know anything about politics. But never fear, if you don't know the answer to a current events question. Let's say you get asked, who's your state representative for your 2 senators? Let's say you get asked, who's the 2 Utah senators? And you don't know, then just honestly answer, I don't know. By the way, I would look that up. Anyways, you'll want to know basic current events, basic politics, and it's really not that scary because if you start looking into it now, you'll be pretty much caught up for when your interview comes around. And it can also be fun. You can find your favorite podcast that shares your political views. You can look at different podcasts that don't share your political views. And it's not only politics too. It could be about coronavirus or, whatever current events going on, make sure you know. And it's a great time to start researching now. Next, they're going to ask you follow-up questions to the questions they asked you before, so be prepared for that. I remember there was a girl at my state Distinguished Young Woman event. Her question, she wanted to be a teacher, and so they were asking her about being a teacher, and then she got asked who the Secretary of Education was in Utah. And so it can be follow-up questions like that kind of are curveball, but you need to be prepared for as well. And yes, so that is what mainly the content will be in the interview, and focusing on those things will really help you out. Okay, next is what to wear, which this is my very favorite part because everyone likes to get a fun business suit, right? No, just kidding. Anyways, first I want to talk to you about your hair and makeup. So, as fun as cute little baby buns are, or braids, or whatever you want, make sure that your hair is professional. So I wouldn't suggest the mouse ears. But I would suggest, for my interview, I did a slicked ponytail. It was straight behind me. It looked really professional, but also youthful. Because I want to point out that no matter what you do with your entire interview ensemble, if you will, make sure that it's youthful and that it describes you. So for me, I can be very, sleek and strict and straight, but I also wanted it to show my long hair and, show the youth inside of my personality as well. So I would definitely suggest making your hair look professional, but also you don't have to do some grandma updo. Don't worry about that. And for your makeup, I wouldn't do too much makeup. I would definitely wear some. You want to look polished and like you've tried to put yourself together for this interview. So if you don't usually wear makeup, a good, foundation with some blush and some mascara is great. If you do usually wear makeup, not too much, but you're welcome to do eye makeup that's classy, simple, and sleek. And that was what I would suggest for the hair and makeup. For your outfit, there's a lot of options that you can do. They prefer solid colors, jewel toned. I mean, it's kind of like for your self-expression outfit as well, where they want everything to be obviously very modest. You want to look super professional, nothing trashy. I mean, no, gold chains. I don't know what you're gonna wear, but just make it look super classy. I would suggest bright colors. Bright colors are what the judges remember you by. And you're welcome to wear a pantsuit. That's actually what I wore for my interview, and I'll show you in a second what I wore. And you're welcome to wear a pencil skirt or a dress, something very, very sleek, bold, and classy. And so like I said, I'd suggest the bright colors, jewel tones. So let me show you what I wore for my interview. Okay, so for my interview, I chose a hot pink pantsuit. As you can see here, there's my pants, and then I wore it with that jacket, and then I put a simple white blouse, it tied in the front underneath, and then to add a little spunk so they could see my personality, I wore these shoes. They prefer you to wear heels, and I decided to go with the cheetah because I love cheetah. So that's what I wore for my interview. But that totally doesn't have to be what you wear. It could be something different, like a skirt, a jumpsuit. The rompers look really great. Whatever you choose, make sure it defines you. I felt like hot pink and cheetah was my kind of personality, and it came across that way when I interviewed with the judges. And so that's something that you really want to take time and think about what you want to wear, because what you wear makes you feel confident and great, and that's what's going to make you do great in your interview. One last comment, I wanted to make a suggestion about jewelry. I wouldn't suggest anything too gaudy, like a bunch of diamonds or, anything that would distract from who you are as a person, because they really care about what you're saying overall. They want you to look professional and nice, but what matters most is the content that you're giving them. So I think for my interview, I actually didn't wear any jewelry. I know some girls wore like a simple bracelet, maybe a ring. They could have worn like a pretty little necklace that they liked. Actually, I do think I wore just like one of these little simple necklaces. Not this one, but a different one with like my initial on it. But nothing, you could even wear studs. I wouldn't say big hoops. I don't have my ears pierced, so like I said, I didn't wear any jewelry. But overall, that's what you should wear for interview. Just look professional and dress nice. Sorry, I know the lighting's kind of crazy in this video, but that's what you get for YouTubing in your bedroom, right? Anyways, so for body language, I wanted to talk about several things, beginning with the fidgets. This is like the number one thing that girls struggle with. I struggled with it. It's just hard. When you get nervous, you just feel like you have ants crawling on you or something. And interview, it can be scary. So it's totally understandable if you get the fidgets. However, mock interviews will really help you get rid of those. I also think that paying attention to what you're saying and really actually focusing on not fidgeting helps. That's kind of a, obvious tip, but think about gluing your hands down to your side almost, and that should help with your fidgets. My leader, Jen, you've probably met her. She always told me if I get super nervous, you can just little baby pinch the sides of your pants, super, super discreetly so the judges can't see, but that way you don't, you aren't fidgeting with your hands or stomping your foot or shaking your head, so anyways, I would really focus on kind of maybe have a family member interview you and then tell them what your fidget is. Mine is that I cross my hands over my chest, not my chest, whatever, cross my hands like this when I got super nervous over and over, and so I had to work on not doing that. So what also helped me with fidgets was I never realized that everyone was like, don't fidget, but you can move your hands and your body as long as it's meaningful. For example, I got asked a question in a mock interview and I got emotional. And sometimes you do get emotional in the interview, and most of the times they'll ask you, they prefer you not to be emotional just because can be uncomfortable sometimes, but if you do and you handle it the right way, I think that it actually leaves a bigger impact on the judges. Not saying that you should go in there and fake cry, do not do it, but if by chance they ask you something that's close to your heart, then and you get emotional, don't think that it's the end of the world, because sometimes it can really touch judges and then they'll remember you more than previous girls they've seen. So how I made my movements meaningful was when I got emotional. Sometimes, it totally depends on your personality, but for me, when I got emotional, I'd put my hands to my chest, just to show that this touches my heart or something. And that way the judges, I had something to do with my hands, and the judges knew that this was meaningful to me, and it was a good way to use my body language to emphasize a point. So I'm really sorry about this lighting. Anyways, so maybe you really want to emphasize how you're passionate about something. So you do something like clasp your hands together. Don't sit there and clap, but think of ways that could show, something that's meaningful to you. You're representing a point, whatever it may be, so that you're not fidgeting, but you're also using your body as a tool to emphasize who you are, your personality, your points, your content, whatever it may be. Next thing with body language is eye contact. And that is so hard. It is so hard to make eye contact because it's scary. But I think the number one thing that helped me practice eye contact was actually, I had a mock interview and my judge told me that I need to make eye contact first with the judge that asked me the question. And then after I answer that question, I start answering that question to that judge, then I address all the other judges on the panel and go back and forth making eye contact with each of those judges. And then I end my question with the judge that asked it, my eye contact with the judge that asked it. Because that way they know that you addressed their question, but you're not forgetting all the other judges who are relevant and there to hear your answer. And then you finish it with them because it makes the question go full circle. One thing I just thought of that I wanted to mention as well was, this goes more in the content category, but while we're on the subject, make your questions, your answers to your questions, short, concise, and to the point. This is because the judges only have 10 minutes with you, and they want to know everything they can about you. They want to know what you think of the world, what you know about current events, who you are as a person, the amazing things you put in your bio. They want to know, and so they only have 10 minutes, so you need to make sure you're giving them short answers that completely answer the question. And what will help you with that is making sure that you do about 1 million mock interviews. It's just getting that practice over and over again. Anyways, back to body language. So I also wanted to mention that you want to show your confidence, your personality, who you are through your body language. So don't go in there all slumped over and, limping in there. You want to walk in, shoulders back. They call it the T position. Where you're confident and you have a presence, not arrogant, but just super classy, ready to be there, ready to go on time, just confident with who you are, and smile. Smiling makes you less nervous. I promise, I'll say it again. Smiling makes you less nervous, keeps you confident, and shows that you're excited and happy to be there and grateful that the judges took their time to interview with you today. So, off of body language now, we will be moving to the logistics. Okay, there's one last thing I forgot to mention with body language, and that's how you stand. So now I'm going to awkwardly show you in my mirror. But I just really want you girls to get an understanding of the way you're supposed to present yourself when you're interviewing. So we talked about the T pose when you walk in, just walk in normally, how you normally would. But when you take a stance, they normally want you to have your feet turned out and kind of in like a ballet fifth position. Not necessarily, just this stance looks pretty professional. Don't rock back and forth too much, but you can switch maybe like once throughout your interview. And they mainly want you to stay in the same spot, but this is the feet position that they really like for you to use. So, okay, now back to logistics. All right, how it works is you'll be given an interview time. You'll show up to the interview, and you'll probably wait about 10 minutes before your interview time for the other girls to finish. And then I would also ask that if another girl has come out and finished and you're not the next girl to go in, but let's say you're like 2 away from going in, do not ask the girl who just interviewed like what the questions were. It's not honest. It's not fair to the other girls who don't know what the questions are. Not every question, obviously the interview is tailored to each distinguished young woman, and so not every question is going to be about the same in the interview. And so that's a big point. Just don't ask the girls who have already been interviewed about their interview. You can say, how'd it go? But all they should say is, good, or I was scared, or whatever. That aside, you'll go out, you walk into your interview, and there'll usually be an X that you'll stand on. And that X is the place you want to stand on the whole time. They don't want you to walk all over the place. Just stick on the X. You can shift your feet in their positions. But for the most part, just stay still. And let's see. So after you stand on the X, you do not go shake their hands. They won't have you shake their hands. Don't introduce yourself. They'll just start by asking the first question. They'll probably say like, Lauren, we're glad to have you here, or something like that. Or DYW, we're glad to have you here. And then they'll start with the first question. Usually it's about your talent, actually. 90% of the time they'll ask you like, what are you performing for us? Or what did you send in to us? Video version, right? So that being said, it doesn't have to be about talent, but they will start with an easy question that will kickstart the interview. And then you'll go through your 10 minutes, you'll be talking and confident, and you can do your own thing. And then before you know it, boom, 10 minutes is over and the timer goes off and you stop talking. They won't have you finish your sentence. If a judge is in mid-question, the judge stops talking. If you are in mid-answer of the most amazing thing you've ever said, you have to stop talking. And at that point, you can just say, thank you for your time. I really appreciate you being here for me. Something to that effect. And then after that, you are done. You turn around and you walk out of the room or will be escorted by a leader. And after that, you just breathe and know that you did an amazing job and that interview is over and that you can do anything now because of interview. Seriously, I just want to touch on how much interview has seriously impacted my life. I love it. I think it's a great experience for young women because it teaches you to not only know current events and what's going on in the world, but who you are as a person and what you've accomplished so far regarding your bio. It teaches you eye contact and body language and how to be professional, how to dress professionally. I think it's really great and important for everybody to experience, and it's awesome that you girls are getting this kickstart. Like I said, interview has impacted my life in scholarships, in jobs, whatever it may be. I will be using interview skills for the rest of my life, and so will you. And so getting this first interview is really scary, but really worth it. And that being said, I really wish you guys the best of luck with interview. Let me know if I can help you with any problems you may be having, worries. Interview really isn't as bad as it seems because the judges are really, honestly great people, super nice, and you are great girls. So it'll be a good conversation held by all. So good luck with your interviews, ladies.